That's on.
Tonight? Okay.
I think we're good.
That's it. No more.
That's on.
Okay.
Don't say all that bad stuff.
Yep, we're on.
Okay. I'd like to call this finance and legislation meeting to order. Mr. Bayes is not here. Mr. Ballack
Here.
and Mr. Bigley is here. We have 4 pieces. We'll get through those first and go with the first one. An ordinance creating the position of part-time street laborer, authorizing the mayor to hire said person, establishing compensation, repealing ordinance number 22-031, and any ordinance inconsistent herewith and declaring an emergency. Anybody have any questions on these? Motion to bring it out.
Make a motion to bring it up.
A second? Next one is an ordinance creating the position of part-time park laborer, authorizing the mayor to hire said person, establishing compensation, repealing ordinance number 22-034, and any ordinance inconsistent herewith and declaring an emergency. Need a motion to bring it out?
Make a motion to bring it up.
A second. Third, an ordinance creating the position of a non-classified part-time dispatch observer / trainee, setting hours and wages for said position, and repealing ordinance number 22-030, and any ordinance inconsistent herewith and declaring an emergency. Need a motion to bring it out.
Make a motion to bring it up.
I second the motion. Last but not least, an ordinance granting and establishing an hourly rate for part-time paid firemen and setting an amount to be paid to part-time paid firemen for attendance at training meetings, and repealing ordinance number 22-028, and any ordinance inconsistent herewith and declaring an emergency. Motion to bring it out?
Make a motion to bring it up.
Second the motion. That is it for legislation. Who has anything else for this committee? Go ahead, Mayor.
I do, just based off the last committee meeting that we had the representatives from American Scholar here for the Andrea Blackman Foundation. I just wanted to give you guys a little update, and I think we need to take kind of like a round table, what decision we're making, if we're changing the variance or keeping the variance the same. I spoke with the attorney, and I believe, I'm not sure if you have copies or not, but you do not have copies. They sent me a letter of support from Mahoning Valley Pathways that I can print and get to you guys, but it's just that they support the foundation moving forward. So it's nothing that's gonna make or break anything. But I did want to make council aware that we've been having an issue with parking there, with cars parking, instead of parking in their driveway, they've been parking on the street. We did tow a vehicle today. There have been the same cars that are parked there have expired plates. We've ticketed, and today we towed. They did go to the church today to ask again about the parking spots. I don't know that they had gotten back to Andrea, but Father Rogers called me and said that they are not going to be letting them rent parking spaces. So he just wanted me to be aware, but there is concern from not just the church, but the building on the other side of the street, because they're concerned about yes, it's a branch from Purple Cat.
Yeah. The
But
Golden
there's
Strings, maybe?
Something, but they're concerned about the fathers or the husbands or whatever accidentally going to the wrong building, or there have been some concern with how this is gonna work and what's going on.
Well,
So,
I think currently, I think we should leave the ordinance as it stands. And at least for a period of time, and see how this partnership with the city basically goes with them operating in our city. I don't see any reason at this point to change it. We could always change it in the future if that's something we need to do, but I would say currently.
Well, she said she only had one person in there right now.
Yeah, it didn't sound like it was something that was urgent or needed
Right.
to be
Yeah.
needed to be.
I would say
taken care of.
maybe address this again in 6 months or a year if we need to, but
Yeah.
I would say for now, my opinion is that we keep it
The
out.
cars that are being ticketed and towed, do they belong to the school or to Miss Black?
Or
that
are they
would-
employees or?
I don't know. I don't know if they're employees. I don't know if they're residents. The one
There's
car.
only, there's what? There's 2 students in there and 1 girl for the thing, so how many
Yes.
cars could be parked out there?
There is usually 5 or 6.
I don't believe the
They were
students
moved
have
today.
cars there.
Right, so who's there?
We don't know. But I spoke with Samoyeda today. I'm going to be writing on my letterhead a request asking who is there and what school they attend. So we're gonna be sending that so we can try to
Verify.
figure that out too. Just so it's verified. Just wanted you guys to let you guys know, and if it's something that you decide, I don't know if it has to be just a round table. I can get back to the attorney and let him know if you guys want to keep the variance the
I
same.
don't think we need legislation to keep.
No,
variance
keep-
up.
keep
No,
it the
we
same,
don't,
no.
no, we don't, and I can tell you, our administration agrees,
Yeah.
right at this
I
present
think
time.
that it'd be 10 times easier if they would just dig out on the lawn
I said the same thing.
and
That's
grab
what
it
they were
and-
supposed
Where
to
the trees
originally.
are.
Yeah, where the
Yeah,
trees are on
where
that
the
side,
trees
I
are.
mean,
And
you
you
can
Park
fit
5 cars.
at least.
Yeah, at
So,
least.
I agree completely.
Yeah,
It's not like they need the yard for playing.
Yeah.
yep.
And I don't wanna see plate bins out in the front on Fifth Street.
Right. I think that keep it how it stands for now. Is everybody good with
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
We don't see any reason to change it
Yeah.
currently.
No, I didn't think so last time either.
Right.
So with your permission, I'm gonna also respond that we discussed this in council and that we're
Yes.
all on the same page. We wanna keep it how it is right now for the time being,
For the
maybe
time being.
revisit it. Is that okay that I say that?
Yes.
Okay.
Cause as long as her clients are in school, then it's okay, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So that's,
Yeah, and she said that she didn't have anybody that was pressing to get.
And it seems like right now they could work around that without much issue. It's not like, you know what I mean? So,
Yep.
what else?
So I don't know if you have it in front of you, but we had a resident, Ryan Boyce, he is new to Rotary. We had a meeting with him for probably over an hour. He has a golf court, he lives on Overlook, and he wants to know basically what he needs to do to be in compliance. But this is something we briefly talked about, kind of touched about, but a lot of the other communities right now are becoming golf cart friendly communities or golf cart,
The low
cable.
speed vehicles.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, I'll be honest, I have no issue with this. I don't. But I want to make sure that we're still policing people on dirt bikes
Yes.
and four-wheelers that
And
aren't
horrible.
complying with
Yeah.
Yes.
the proper code that it would be to
Yes.
drive on the road.
So Chief Roddy and I and Mr. Benson have all been in discussion with Samoyeda, and we're trying to find something to bring to council to figure out how to
Yeah.
kind of mainstream all this.
Right.
But I think we're in the same area.
Sorry.
We're speaking just golf carts.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
this, and there's some,
and with all the requirements on these golf carts, they're not gonna get you a golf cart.
No,
No.
no.
And
No,
he,
you're
and
gonna
he
need to
uses
make it
his-
road
He
legal.
lives right on Overlook, he'll drive to the park and back, or he
And-
can
and
just
that's-
haul back,
That's
he doesn't.
fine.
I
If
think
there's a
we're all
lot of
cool with that.
regulations, we just have to make sure.
But the dirt bikes are so loud
Uh-huh.
and people complain about
And
them.
the four-wheelers
Nobody
just
actually
go
goes
in
the
and out of
speed
traffic
limit
like
on it.
crazy.
Same
Well, the
thing.
kids shouldn't be on.
So there's a few
You
things
shouldn't.
about this that you wanna consider. First of all, are you allowed them to operate in the wintertime? Because golf carts don't have very good traction. So
Well,
they
yeah.
don't stop real easy.
I don't think anybody's gonna be driving.
Well,
in a minute.
I don't know either. I would say probably
People are-
not,
Yeah.
I
but it
would,
might wanna be something if you're writing legislation to consider.
I would say,
Operation in rain, you know what I'm saying?
I would say we,
These are things that should be considered if you're writing legislation. If they're a 16-year-old operator, are they gonna be required to wear a helmet the same as a motorcycle? Then something else that you might wanna consider. I mean, I'm not telling you how to write your
Yeah.
legislation.
Yeah.
These are things I would like for you to think about before you tackle this.
I don't know if they're,
I would say let's also go back to the fact that we can write this legislation and always change it if we start having those type of issues. Where people are driving them in the snow and they're impeding
well,
traffic
you know, the
and
thing
people
is
are.
that those golf carts aren't much bigger than what that car Mr. Becker has for his. Did you ever see that,
Smart
that,
cars.
that Becker car? That smart car, they're not much smaller.
No, they're,
They're pretty much
Yeah.
the same size.
Yeah,
I mean, if you have a four-seater and even the seat in the back, that's a big
well,
golf
and
cart.
let's also think that anything that's driving on the road has to be street legal, obviously, turn signals,
horns,
or everything else. So at that point, what grounds do we have to tell them you can't drive it in these months? They're legal, correct, John, or no?
I would agree with that. I mean,
If you're legal
I
to
don't know
drive
why
on
you
the
would
road.
drive a golf cart in the middle of January or February, but
I'm just speaking in generality. I mean, if they do what it takes to be compliant with roadworthiness of their vehicle in our city, how do we have the grounds to tell them they only have
Well, if you look
these
at
months to do it?
if you look at the tires on a car
Right.
and their stopping ability, and then you look at tires on these golf carts, they don't stop nearly as well.
Oh, I would agree.
yeah, well, that's the danger. That could be a slippery slope though, because then you start pulling over cars that maybe have bald tires
Well,
in the wintertime.
Or
But there's-
also, there's no statute on motorcycles. You could drive a motorcycle in the winter,
Correct.
and that is at your discretion. That isn't safe by any means.
Right.
So I think, we just see what
Leave it up to
comes of
common
it.
sense.
Where we at?
Yeah.
Almost done.
Well,
So
Bob,
we're,
you're all right though. Nobody ever uses common sense.
Exactly, that's the worry
there's
there.
a
Not so
sample
common.
piece, I think that Ryan attached in his email, but it's just something that if you guys wanted to discuss at some point, if we bring in some type of legislation, go over it a
Yeah,
couple
just-
times before,
No.
but it's just
That's just.
something that has been brought to us a few times.
I'm cool with this. They're quiet. They're not bothering people. It is the dirt bikes and the four wheelers though that I want to make sure that just because we allow this, we're still
Yes.
enforcing dirt
And
bikes and four
if you're getting complaints about dirt bikes, four-wheelers, please make sure they're calling dispatch and not just complaining to council and administration, because there's nothing, I've had a couple of discussions, I cannot do anything. Bob, you have to call, so try to encourage them when they see it to call. We're not always gonna get there because we're not gonna, if we're
Yeah.
at a crime or something, they're not gonna leave there.
Plus, it's going to be luck if you get there, because by the time they call and dispatch gets it, those people are gone.
Right.
But if we can establish a pattern.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
So, I know, cause I get a lot of complaints, I get a lot of videos, look, and I don't like it, I don't think it's, and I call dispatch, did so-and-so call down here? No, well, please send somebody up, but I always have, make sure you're telling them, call dispatch.
Well,
call
certain
dispatch.
things too, though, Kath. If they're on video, that's still prosecutable on most things, correct, John? If I had a video of somebody driving totally recklessly, they could be charged with reckless operation based off of that video.
The problem is, I think the dirt bike is going so fast, you can't tell who it is.
Yeah.
You could see it going by the camera, but to identify the child is a whole difference.
And they're usually wearing masks
Yep.
or
Right, yeah.
something where you can't. Now, I had just had this conversation today, as a matter of fact, with Kramer and Roddy. I mean, the police officers obviously know people who they deal with on a regular basis. They could identify, even if they're wearing a helmet or a mask, could be identified by tattoos or other things. So we are going to start really. I would agree with Roddy that we don't want to necessarily get into if you go to stop someone and they don't pull over. I don't think you want to start getting into a chase with somebody who's on a dirt bike or a four-wheeler. It's just
Liability.
not going to end well,
Especially
probably.
if it's a child.
Especially if it's
Yeah.
but if we can identify them, whether by any means, we are going to really start cracking down and prosecuting.
And what would you be able to impound the vehicle based on that? Based on the picture or the video evidence?
We could forfeit. We could seize the vehicle as evidence, and then I could. Now it's going to ultimately be up to the court to decide, but I could also apply to have the to the state
Okay.
One other thing, as long as they're not
or city.
driving on sidewalks.
Right,
Yeah, no.
right.
This is
No.
for road use.
Yeah.
No sidewalk use.
Yeah, that's, yeah. I think they already have that.
Yeah.
That's- Yeah.
But I'm cool with the golf carts.
But just something for you guys to look through, and we can even construct
Drive your
something and
golf
bring
cart,
it
right?
to you guys.
Okay.
We have one more,
Go
one
ahead.
more quick thing.
No, you don't have to be
I know I wasn't at the last meeting, but we were talking about the dog park and the insurance, and we had them come out, do a risk assessment, and
Yeah,
Go
that's, basically, they didn't say there was gonna be any increase in their insurance. They just gave us a list of things that would reduce our risk, which, actually, the list is things that are already being implemented with the dog park, as far as signage and everything else goes. So that you're basically, if you put the signage up there, people use it at their own risk.
So we're not anticipating, they didn't anticipate any type of increase
No.
in our insurance?
No,
Okay.
but it did wind up getting us, the whole city risk management evaluated, so.
We went around for a
So-
while.
Okay.
That was fun. Which is, it
But
doesn't-
it was
pointed out some
due, it was
stuff.
due, so.
Yeah, cool,
Yeah,
cool. So something good came out of it too.
yes.
So you don't need a special policy for that part? Okay.
Great, good to know. What else we got?
And along the lines of that park, unfortunately, there were some things happened with the little Wildcats and their season got cut short. So they have the cheerleading right now, but they decided to cancel the rest of their season. So I don't know what that's gonna look like going forward there too, just.
For the park, you're saying, or for the, yeah.
So does that mean we can get playground equipment?
Well,
Now, Bob,
I've
that's
been wanting
still,
that for
we
years.
still want, so Mickler, Nebo, Fifth Street, that's still, we want playground equipment in
Yeah.
all of the parks. We wanna develop all of, every single one of them, so yes. I don't think anybody would be opposed, I don't think even the little Wildcats
I
would be
will
opposed
let you
to
know
that.
that the Struthers Baseball League has contacted me, that if that lease with Little Hard Hats should be
Wildcats.
expired, not the
Wildcat.
Wildcats, expires, they would be interested in possibly.
If I remember right, we granted a 10-year lease.
I thought it was year to year, they had to show us proof of it.
I think they have to show you
Proof of,
proof of insurance every year, but I thought
Yeah,
we
it was
granted
10
a
years.
10
But
years.
it's up
But
in
it's
27.
probably been
But if
6
they're-
years.
It's up in
if
27.
they're-
Okay, yeah.
Obviously, if the Little Wildcats dissolve, then the lease is dissolved.
But
Yeah.
that's something we would talk to them about, they would add in another field at their own cost.
Right.
Yeah,
And
but
fix
they
the-
also can't restrict the public from going there.
No, I mean,
No,
that would be
it's
things
still
that would be
public
discussed,
park.
I just wanted to let you know that they were interested in it. And the use of it and everything else would be, you know,
Just like
between
it's
this
still
council and them.
public park.
Okay. But I remember my first year, I think, on council, we renewed that lease
Yeah.
for a 10.
It's up,
That makes
99%
sense. That makes
positive,
sense.
it's up in 27.
And I wouldn't say void the lease, if the Wildcats are still using it, the Wildcats are still
Yeah.
using it.
But if they,
dissolve.
yeah, then it kind of opens up some other pathways for
And I don't, the little hard hats, I think they got maybe 11 guys on their team. 11 or 12 guys, the 5-year-olds, the little ones.
The Bantams,
Yeah, I mean, my daughter, my granddaughter cheered for Boardman, and we played them one night. And I probably didn't count more than 11 or 12 players on the team.
On the smallest ones.
Yeah.
I don't know, I don't, because I usually am a concession stand for these
And they
games.
had 30 cheerleaders.
Oh, yeah. But there's a lot of parents too that don't want their kids in that little, so there have been talks with
They
that
go in
league.
the flag.
And that's, the league has been talking about making that younger group. I mean, it's not anything that's gonna happen soon, but they've been in talks about making it flag for the little kids. But I don't know if that ever went anywhere.
Okay, what else we got? Keep rolling along.
We
Can I
need
just
to-
remind everybody the duck race is Saturday for Rotary.
Yes.
And Build-A-Bed is the 30th,
30th.
and anybody can come if you wanna bring your kids, because it's like an assembly line type of deal.
It's really pretty
It's
neat.
not,
I mean,
it's not heavy lifting, like it's just.
And I received a phone call today asking when we're having
12.
Halloween trick or treat.
On Halloween, I will tell you, and will always be for as long as I'm here. Mayor Stalker and Mayor Mamula, both, they gave me one piece of advice that they both said, never change this, always keep it on Halloween, both of them.
And they're
I
right,
agree.
they're right.
I
So,
agree with
as far as
100%.
Struthers is concerned, we will always be on Halloween.
They're
And we're
100%.
always, what, 5:30 to 7?
5 to
5 to
7.
7.
5 to 7.
Holidays are holidays, you can't just change them till a couple days, past the actual holiday. It doesn't count, it doesn't work that way.
Thanks.
What else? So, Mike, you got something down there?
No.
Anything good?
I think in the future, we really gotta look at this code of ethics. We've been sitting on this for a long time, we need to get something passed. At least get something in the books, so we have something.
Okay.
look at what you have, I guess.
Okay, and Bob, you gave us some legislation to look over last week. I didn't enjoy it. But that was just my view
Well,
on
that
it.
was more.
I will tell you, last
I will come
night,
up with more.
last night I stopped in, I talked to Mr. Minchin about a property. There was furniture on the front porch, and he said he didn't think we had anything on the books for
We do.
furniture on the front, and I said we do, it is on the books, but he also had mentioned to me that we need something for vacant properties. So if he wants to come to the meeting, he's more than welcome. If he wants to come and discuss what properties he's talking about, maybe we can ride past, see what we think violations, what they have.
I don't understand though, what do we need to put on for vacant properties?
Well, that's what I wanna ask him, is what he, give us
I'm
the
not
property.
against it, I'm just trying to understand.
Well, I would like to see the
what we-
the properties he's speaking about, so we can go past to see what violations we see that they have that they can cite on already. You know what I'm
You mean
saying?
vacant properties with structures on it?
Yes.
Yes.
Because we cut the
Vacant,
vacant property.
vacant
Yeah.
structures.
Yes.
We had a home that was vacant for 13 years. And
It's on
the
Edison?
neighbors complained on both sides.
Is that his name?
Yeah.
Yes, the house, well, that, so the
Fine.
house
After
between
13
Mr.
years.
Bruno and Mr. Ford, that house finally sold.
I
know that
would-
was,
I wish we could get together on something too with putting together a criteria and a short list for people to actually bid on or try to get these homes.
Yeah,
Well, that
I would
we
think
don't
that
own
piece of
that.
I
property.
I understand, but a lot of these are condemnable
That
among
one
most.
That one, it may have been if we were able to get inside, but we weren't able to get inside.
Did it meet code
Because-
outside?
Yes.
yes.
It did.
Bob, get a search warrant.
No,
We
we
can get a
didn't.
search, we can get an administrative search warrant to go in
We're
there.
working on it now.
So, this property finally sold, but it was just a brother and sister who couldn't agree to sell the house. So it sat there empty for 13 years because they could not agree to sell.
On one
Yep.
of the nicest streets
Yeah.
in the city. Like,
Yeah.
And it's
I bet it different.
from, it's a one of. We have a lot of nice streets, but that's one of.
Oh, is that brother and sister that?
Yeah,
Oh.
it's sold. John, it's
Yeah.
sold.
Finally.
Good.
It's gone.
All those people that did.
I didn't think it
It
would
was
ever sell.
Sheffield or something like that, or what you started with, that's or something.
Yeah, it was something like that.
Between Bobby Ford and what's it?
Yes.
Yeah,
Mr.
Ben
Bruno.
Bruno.
Other best year.
What else?
How about any news on Los Gatos? Anything?
We actually do. So we've been, this is now our 6th meeting on Tuesday. We have investors from Texas that we've been talking to. They're not even interested in the CIC money as of right now. They are able to, they have
Fund the
ideas on funding the project in its entirely. And I'm talking, this is the first time, like, they're serious. We've had multiple meetings with their developer. They've been coming up in Texas constantly, so they're coming up again next week. So we have movement, which is good. And we've been showing that building like crazy. So we're hoping. But there's a couple of different things. So the parking lot right now, as it stands, the parking lot is part of that buildings. The parking lot in between Los Gatos and where Brian bought the other.
Right.
Because we own that, we explained to everybody that we took through, that parking lot will remain public parking. We're not gonna get rid of that parking to go with the building. And these guys are okay with it. So they are now proposing to possibly take care of and do the parking across the street behind Struthers Nutrition. So that's what we're kind of ironing out.
Where that house got torn up.
Yes.
Where the house got turned down, we're
Good
having
idea.
trouble finding money to get this to happen. They own a company that takes care of this stuff, so they
Could
could
use-
do it and then lease it to the city for $1 a year or something. We're working all that
Yeah.
out, but that would
Yeah,
be
yeah.
a win-win for them and for us,
There's still a lot of talks to happen.
yes.
Okay,
But
very
we've
good.
been having them, so,
Okay, perfect.
yeah.
Is there any updates, like you mentioned something about the library over there and across the street, that building, anything happening with that building, the old Yellich building?
The investor that we talked to with Los Gatos, he didn't really say nothing about it, but he did go into that building and look at that one also. He hasn't really mentioned it again since then,
Talking about the old Vindicator?
but he has looked at that one. He's looked at a
Yellow
couple.
Slumber, the one with
Yellich lumber,
where
the dome?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We've been showing it a lot,
Oh,
so.
okay. I was just wondering, I haven't heard much about it.
But the library, we met with the library, over a month ago.
They're just waiting for their funding.
It's funding, but we have the feasibility study that's been completed. We've sent the property transfer to the Sontich family for them to sign, so they can sign that over, to the library instead of going through us. It'll go straight through the library so that they can use that as a tax write-off or whatever, but I know the two sisters are very eager to get rid of that building. But it's not listed for sale because we also, I mean, we have the keys to the building. We wanna make sure it gets into the right hands. We don't want a situation where we can't work with the owner, and we don't want it to remain vacant. So we want somebody that we can communicate with, and we want them to be a partner of the city, especially in a building of that size.
Another thing, I see all the manholes are raised on Center and Elm Street.
Yes.
When are they gonna, you know when they're gonna pave? I hope they do them sidewalks first before they
Yeah.
pave.
So, I believe their
Finished.
deadline is like the end of October.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's, I'm sure they will be done long before that.
Yeah, right.
But that's the
It
official
looks like Center
deadline.
Street's ready to go, cause they
Yeah.
just finished all
So-
the, all the.
And honestly, I mean, it's not as if they're in bad shape. They're in good
Right.
shape right now. The bump is very
Yeah.
small when you
Right.
do have to go on the
Just
streets.
like you said,
Right.
the 2-inch on
Right.
top coat is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all.
And then the EPA you said is still digging.
EPA. So we got MS4 evaluation from the EPA. So in the near future, we're gonna be throwing a lot of legislation at you. We had several violations, and I would say 90, maybe 99% of the violations where our ordinances are out of date.
So
So
we have to.
we have to update a lot of our stormwater ordinances. So
Okay.
we'll be throwing
Which is an
those at
easy.
you.
Yeah.
Which are good violations because they're easy to correct.
Right. And I'm sure they're gonna tell us somewhat of what criteria we have
Yes.
to meet,
Yep.
so we can tailor our legislation
Yes,
around
they
it.
will actually, we joined with the Water and Soil Conservation, and they will help us write the legislation to be
Compliant.
compliant.
Okay, cool.
Speaking of, is Aqua gonna take care of that water break down there? I
It's
heard,
supposed to be Friday.
okay, cause I want it to be done before the winter time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was told that their, Brunswick was digging it up Friday.
Well, they just fixed one down there, what, maybe 2
Yeah.
years ago that was
Yes. It
was
pretty
last
bad,
year, yeah.
substantial, yeah.
But that's leaking in a manhole, it's not really
Yeah.
a garbage thing,
No.
or a sewer.
No.
It's not a sewer, it's just a manhole
Right.
thing for,
If it was a sanitary or if it was storm,
then we
it
would.
would just drain away, you wouldn't see it flowing out. Okay? So,
Now, the grant that we got for downtown, what do we,
We just met with EDG last week. We did try for that other, signal, but we did not get it. So they're still saying we don't need one at the bottom of bridge. But he did all the studies and everything we needed to do to try to get that extra 300,000 for that one, and we did not get it. They just told us that.
the one I'm talking about, for the turn signal there?
the turn signal at the bottom of, so
No,
we
we
had to
were
do the
gonna add
traffic.
one.
We were gonna
Oh,
add
you
the turn
were
signal at the
gonna
bottom of South Bridge, so we had to
Oh,
do a
okay.
traffic turning study, and it came back that it wasn't justified there.
But no, yours is still there.
Yeah.
It's still there.
That's
But we
a
met
very
with-
dangerous intersection because of that.
Yeah.
Because the cars that turn right over there, they don't even bother stopping, they just go.
Right. So
And that-
hopefully, with the upgrades, we can calm it down a little bit.
And we had a meeting last week with ODOT, with their representatives, with Eastgate there, and we went over both of our projects. So we went over the big bridge project and the downtown project, so we're moving. And the bridge is actually, that's moving very
It's
quickly.
supposed to be, right. And we're already starting the paperwork to put the downtown project out for proposals, so.
South
things are
Bridge,
moving.
the property that Shields was supposed to.
Yeah.
Is it moving along or what?
Yes, I just have to write up the whole contract.
Okay.
Not contract, not quick claim deed, what is it called? Purchase contract, the purchase agreement.
Purchase agreement.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Now, I said this to him and I've spoke this to the mayor, I'm vocal about having the property auctioned versus us pinpointing one person and allowing them to get it. And I've spoke with Josh about this too. I seen him at the gas station, and I just said, I hope he does get it, and I hope he stays here, and I hope all of those things. But I just feel like I should at least say this. I just think it's cleaner. He can still bid on it. He would more than likely still get it if we put it up for auction. But it gave a fair chance to most people. And it's a city asset, so it's not us putting a price on it. It's the public bidding what they feel the property is worth. So even though we agree to sell it to him for X amount, there might have been somebody out there who would have paid more. There might, you know, so you guys are obviously to make the decision on it, but I'm just being vocal about my opinion on it. I think.
Because we have to auction off city property.
I feel like if we
not property, but we have
relinquish.
to auction off the fire truck, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is different, this is in the land bank.
I'm sure that
Oh,
I'm
okay.
sure that you guys are operating within legal realm, 100%, and I'm sure that they are. I just feel like, as far as impropriety goes or anything like that, it's always the fairest way if it is just auctioned. And I know Josh, and I like Josh. He's a great guy. But I told him this as well, just because I don't want it looked at like I know this person, so I helped them get a property, or I know that person. Just put it out there.
And we
You
did,
know
we
what I
talked
mean?
to John about that, we talked with everybody about that, and I think if we were selling it to him for cheaper than what it was appraised for, or we were trying to give him a deal,
Correct.
or trying to do something under the table like that,
Yes.
then we would feel concerned, but because we're selling it to him for exactly what it was appraised for, and
It is fair market
we're more
value.
worried too that somebody else buys it and it sits there and nothing
Yeah.
happens. And then we have someone, a local person, who will also be helping the church out, who will also be a good
Yeah.
partner that we're all aware of, that's going to pay exactly, and we've had people reach out to us about it before, because they want to either add it to their property, and that's not gonna bring any
Right.
value to the city. We want him to stay here and keep his business here.
I
So
completely agree.
we did
I
bring those
completely
concerns.
agree. And again, like I said, if it would have went to auction, I was rooting for him.
Yeah.
I obviously best for the city that he gets it.
Yeah.
That's for sure. I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't people looking at us like there was impropriety in any way. You know, that's all.
You gotta have a sealed bid anyhow.
Well, again,
Not for an auction.
not for an auction.
Not for an auction.
No. Okay. What
Can't do
else?
sealed bids?
Why would I do a sealed bid on an
Yeah.
auction if I'm trying to get the
That would
highest
drive the
price?
price down.
Yeah.
But we are gonna be having an auction soon with some of the vehicles we have, and then eventually with the, back truck. Because that should be delivered by the end of September,
Okay,
so
cool.
within the next couple weeks.
We'll go to a public auction where an auctioneer comes down like in the past? Yes. And I'm saying not like an online bid over the course of a week? Okay.
I wanna get rid of this stuff.
Yeah. Okay, what else we got? You got something? Megan, you got something back there?
No, I'm good.
Alright, I'm gonna call for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
Meeting